Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar de Jesus, and his co-host, John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I'm your host, Edgar de Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John J.J. Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and the famous Zach, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we're talking about the 4 phases of every pool pro. So we're going to talk about that. I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, a podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started today, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, Poolside Tech, and Pool Brain. We want to thank them for their continued support. Mr. Zacharias, what's going on?
I'm just sitting here looking at myself in this camera, noticing, I don't know what's going on. It must be the lighting or something, but my beard is turning gray.
You and John both.
And like when we all met, I don't think I had a single gray hair. So it's like all of us are on this journey together of turning gray.
That's what you get for making fun of me with all my gray hairs. Hey, Zach, I am actually doing the podcast from home today. And of course, I'm going to let you talk about the Western Pool and Spa Show, 6th, 7th, 8th that we're going to.
6th, 7th, and 8th. Yes, I just got my tickets booked and it's coming up quick. So that'll be next week. I can't believe that we're already there. And that's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, February 6th, 7th, and 8th. And we have a whole handful of classes going on and a lot of good stuff. And I'm excited about it. What is the new class again that we were adding?
So we added a couple classes. We are going to be doing the ones that will be, so we have a track of like 13 classes, but we're doing business efficiencies, masters of operational efficiencies for success. That's going to be a good one, diving in. We're going to be doing a little bit of what we're doing today, and that is going through the different phases of the pool pro, right? Because I think it's really important to know where you are in your journey, right? What phase you're in. And more importantly, figure out what your next phase is going to be and how are you going to prepare yourself for that, right? So that's really important. I do want to say here, Benny already, Edgar isn't the champion of Marco Polo. Show is the 2024 stats. What does he mean by that? Benny, what are you talking about? I know that you're calling me out that I'm not the champion of Marco Polo, but are you saying that those are 2024 stats? Are you challenging me? Is that what you're saying?
He's saying we're getting old, slow, gray, and he doesn't believe that we're the champions of anything anymore.
Dude, challenge accepted. Let's go. But I will have to say this, the water's going to have to be at least like 94 degrees. I don't do 80-degree water anymore.
No, we're beyond that now.
We're way past that, my friend. So anyways, yeah, I think it's really important to go through those different journeys and do that. Of course, at the same time, I'm thinking, man, we should do Marco Polo championships, but we would have to have different age categories for them.
Yeah,
right.
I don't even like getting in the water anymore, so I'm out.
Anyways, we're going to be teaching that. We are going to be doing ensuring financial security, protecting your future, your family, your business, going through a little bit of the financial side. And then we do a deep dive into understanding financials. We really talk about the different business metrics, financial business metrics. We talk a little bit about your cost of service, all those things that you should be tracking as a business. We talk about our micro businesses. We do all those breakdowns. And then we do profit strategies, growth through customer-centric approaches. And I'm excited about this class, Zach, because we're doing what I call customer-facing versus company-facing things, right? So there's a lot of things that we have to do from the standpoint of customer facing. And then that's a lot of the things that we talk about with regards to answering the phones and all that low hanging fruit that we talk about all the time. But we're also going to talk about the back end. As a company, what are the things that you should be doing that go hand in hand with that, right? And we are going to do a deep dive into talking about bringing on the right customers, interviewing the customers. Are they the right fit? What things should you look for? All the different personality traits and all that. Because we talk about bringing on customers and being able to deliver great customer service. But if you're bringing on customers that are, don't care about the pool, right? Or that treat you like the help and all that kind of stuff, most likely what's going to happen is down the road, there's going to be issues with those customers. So what are the other things that you have to do on the back end to make sure that you set yourself up for success and your employees, right? Because a lot of times it's all about take the business. But man, sometimes we make some bad choices when we bring on, whether it's forget about the pools with the bad vegetation and all the trees and all that kind of stuff. But customers, sometimes bringing on very difficult customers isn't the right thing to do. So we'll do a deep dive into that and share both sides, something that I think a lot of people don't talk about.
That goes hand in hand with establishing processes and procedures, because when you can establish processes and procedures to go through that process, like for those things that you're talking about, then you can avoid those problems as you scale faster, grow faster, because you're able to go through and find all the things that you're willing to take on, you're not willing to take on. And that gives you the confidence to be able to say, no, this pool doesn't fit our model, so we're not going to take on this account, or this pool is amazing for our model, so we'll take on this one. And it's something that, in my mind anyways, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm excited to do some deep dives into that, no pun intended, and get into the nitty gritty of the stuff that people don't always talk about when they talk about customer centric approaches. It's all about be friendly and answer your phones right away. And if somebody complains, manage their complaint. And those are all very valid things and things that we need to do. But let's also talk about the back end and the things that you should be doing as a company to set yourself up for success. So anyways, I do want to give a huge shout out to all the people from the Business Matrix. Still reeling, still excited. I've been having a couple of calls. As a matter of fact, I went and had lunch yesterday with John with Pool Scouts. We spent a good time, went through those goals. I've talked to Sabrina, I talked to Jordan, have talked to a couple other people going through the goals and all that. Remember, everybody, March 1st, your goals are due. So here's what I recommend. Go in, set those up. If you need help, send me a message, send Zach a message, send John a message. We'll jump on a Zoom call with you guys. We'll go through those. And then we added a couple new features, Zach, which, by the way, big shout out to Sabrina, because she was the one that gave us some feedback. We obviously created a software program in order to be able to manage all these goals and stuff. And so we have the form where you go and you create your goals, right? And the SMART goals, and it's all the steps. And those are really meant to be able to go in and fine tune it and tweak it. And then what you do is you import it into your goal tracker that gives it the dates, and you can assign it to people and all that kind of stuff. And so she came to us and she's like, hey man, that's really cool. What would be even better than that? If on that, you could press a button and it imports everything into your goal. So we don't have to use the form to then type it into the goals and go step by step. And I'm like, hold my beer, challenge accepted. And I went back to the team and I'm like, hey, here's some suggestion, blah, blah. They're like, yeah, we could do that. I'm like, when can we have it? And they're like, we can test it tomorrow. We can tweak it and test it tomorrow and see if you want to launch it. And you know what? Within 48 hours, we had launched it and it's set, and you could just import, and it imports everything with due dates and all that kind of stuff. And then she gave us a couple other features that we should do, and we just turned around, man, and we just incorporated all of them. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Really excited about that. And to watch some of the people with the goals that they're putting together and the things that they're doing is really exciting. We have anything from revenue to profit to growing the business to training to networking and building their personal brands. And so it's just really exciting to see kind of all those things starting to come together. So big shout out to all you guys out there that are part of the Pool Nation Business Matrix. We are going to meet. The next one is going to be March 29th. That one's going to be out here in Dallas for those of you that can come out. The beauty of it is we are going to be doing our first Pool Nation boot camp at Heritage, which is going to be the 27th and the 28th of March. And then on the 29th, we are going to be going over to Gold Medal Pools We're going to be able to do a tour for the facilities out there and watch that whole operation. And then Josh is going to teach a class on financial KPIs. That class, you're going to have to pick the 2 to 4 financial KPIs that you're going to start to track. And then you are going to start to get your chart of accounts in preparation for the class that we're doing in June. And that's the one where you literally will bring your numbers. We'll do a financial class, plug them into the system, and you're going to know exactly what your cost of service is, what your average profit is, average rate. It's going to break it all down to give you all these financial KPI numbers that you're going to be able to see. So really excited about that. Stay tuned. We are talking about opening up another matrix group because we have gotten a couple people that want to do one.
I've gotten some too.
Yeah. So we're already looking at picking a date. So when we go to the Western show next week, we'll have a date and then we'll have some registration set up so everybody can sign up for that next matrix group. And then we'll create a second one to be able to help the pool pros out there. The other thing that I'm really excited about, man, the education stuff that we have in the pipeline, Zach.
No, we were just talking about some of that.
We can't share yet.
Not yet.
It's killing me.
This is like the recurring can't spill the tea. That's what I love about it, is it's just evolving and all these great ideas and these things coming up soon, but not yet.
We have the other event that we're going to be doing that we can't talk about. I can't even give like this little hint of what it is because there's nothing that we could say that won't spill what it is. So really excited about that. And we'll be announcing that soon.
I'm going to start a business. I'm going to gold medal tours. I'm going to get a bus. We'll come in like a field trip. Walk around. I mean, I've been there once and I'm extremely excited to go back again because they really do an amazing job. So for everyone that's coming out to check that out, I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So really excited about that. So Zach, I think we should get started. One of the things that we've been talking about and through this journey, talk about certain stories with pool pros. We talk about their journeys. We talk about their growth. We talk about their successes, their struggles. And there's certain things that we've kind of been able to figure out along the way. And so an example, when we talked about education, we talked about seeing the pattern that there's different phases of education for the pool pro. So a lot of times when somebody starts the business, they're very focused on the technical things, the water chemistry, the managing that part of the business. And then as they become pros at that, as they become comfortable, and that kind of comes at second to third year, we start to see that transition to really they're comfortable with that. They start to play with repairs. They start to play with doing all these different things. And that's really that year 3, 4, right? And then kind of at that year 5, as you're starting to see that they're growing, that now they start to focus on the business side, right? Because now they're at a stage where they're comfortable with that. They're bringing on an employee, whatever it is. Same thing comes with the business phases, right? So those are training phases, but there's also a lot of business phases that we go through. And the more people we talk to, the more common ground we find within the pool pros, what we went through. And gosh, Cap City reached out the other day and we're going to have him on the Instagram live talking about it because he's gone through all these different business phases or pool pro phases. And I'm like, well, let's have you on. Let's talk about it, right? Let's share some of those things. So what we want to do is we want to talk really quick about the different phases of every pool pro business with the intent of letting you and finding out the key takeaways of the phase that you're in. But more importantly, what are going to be the keys to success? Because you're going to move on to the next phase. And what we want to do is bring on some awareness so that you're ready for that next phase. So, Zach.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in real quick. And like you said, there's a technical side to this, and then there's a business operations side to this. And as you're always saying, everyone has their it. And this is one of the things that I've seen throughout my journey doing different programs and things. And a lot of those ones weren't specific to our industry, a little bit more generalized. And I would be in these groups with all these different business owners from all types of industries, whether it was commercial lawn care, owning restaurants, selling insurance, or whatever it is. And when it came to the business side, all of our stories were very similar on that side of it. The struggles that we encountered, the stages at which we encountered those struggles, it was all real similar, whether I'm talking to someone that's running a restaurant, which I have no understanding of, but we're sitting there going, hey man, I'm running into this problem. And it's like, oh, I went through that too. And here's some of the things that I did to do that. And like you said, we've gotten a lot of opportunity to speak with different people in the industry at all different stages and sizes. And there is a common theme at certain points in their journey that we could identify into the phases. Should we overview the phases? I think we should overview them first.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's jump in. Hey, good morning, David, Maria, and Sonata, Jeanette. Big shout out to you, our boy Benny out there. Big shout out to all you guys that are out there watching. We appreciate it. So yeah, I think one of the things that we should do is I want to dive into that first one, but I think we should kind of do a quick recap of all the different phases. So if you want, I'll jump in, I'll take one, then you can take the next one and we'll kind of go through it. One of the first stages that we find out there, and we've created names for the different phases. And so the first one is what we call the foundational phase, right? It's that pool pro that is really at that 30, 40, 50 pools, right? It's the individual pool guy. He's running his business by himself. He's into that 40 pool range where he's able to manage everything, right? You've got plenty of time. You know, if a customer comes to you, you can spend an hour with the customer. It's not that big of a deal. If you have a repair and it takes you a little bit longer, it's not that big of a deal. You have all the time in the world to do your billing, answer every single phone call, right? At that stage, Zach, you answer every single phone call and you get to everything right away because you do have the benefit of time. That's what we call the foundational phase. It's you're in the foundation of your business and you have all the time in the world.
The second phase that we found is like the 80 to 90 pool range. And this is what we call the balancing act. And this is really where people start to get comfortable in what they're doing. So they start to add more revenue sources. And it might be like repair work or something along those lines. And that's where it shifts because on one hand, your workload increases and you're starting to divide your time between servicing pools. And then now you've got to figure out the time to go do these repairs that you've added on. And then additionally, you've got to run the operational side of a growing business. And this is a tricky stage because this is where people start thinking about maybe hiring someone, bringing someone on. They're not quite sure how to do it. They haven't established those processes to be able to do that because it's just they haven't been there yet. This is an important stage because your focus gets so heavy on these things. You might lose some of that customer service that you were able to deliver when it was like the one-on-one, you're out there doing the service. That's why we call it the balancing act, because now you're starting to have to juggle all these things and figure out how to manage that.
Yeah. And this is one of those phases, Zach, that I think for me, starting with 50 pools, right? I was so focused on what I was learning, right? I was learning the craft itself that I didn't see what was coming ahead until I was already there. When I was doing my billing with my 50 pools, it wasn't stressful. It wasn't that big of a deal. I did it always on time. I answered my phone every single time. And now you find yourself doing 80, 90 pools with repairs and all that. That's a lot of work, right? It's really a lot of work. And that's when things start to fall through the wayside, right? Because when I had 50 pools, I had plenty of time to just make sure. Now, when you got 80, 90 pools, you can't focus on spending all the time in the world at each single pool. You have to start to streamline some of that work in order to be efficient and be able to get through that day. And then you add repairs on top of that and phone calls and then the billing. And that's when I just started to see some of the things start to fall through the cracks. And then the other thing that's important in this phase, and we'll talk about it, but this is a terrible burnout phase if you're not careful. Because at the beginning, Zach, we're answering the phone all the time. It doesn't matter if it's at 7 o'clock at night or at 10 o'clock at night, or if it's on the weekends and you're dropping everything that you're doing. And it gets to the point where you can only go so far doing that before you start to hit that burnout.
I remember this one. It's you go into the late nights, the really late nights where you're trying to do things. And if you have a family, my personal life pretty much became non-existent and trying to balance that. And so there's a lot to this one. But like you said, this is where a lot of times people run into that burnout. And it's like, man, what am I doing?
Yeah. The next phase is what we call the scaling phase, right? And now you're at that 130 pools. You most likely are not doing pools by yourself anymore. You've brought somebody on, and now you really need to start to focus on a lot of other things. The biggest challenge, I think, at this stage, Zach, is that a lot of pool pros still have a workload. So they have 130 pools, they hire somebody, but they're still doing a lot of pools. So people think, oh, I'm going to bring another person so that it makes my life easier. And that's a double-edged sword right there, right? Because yes, you're bringing them on so that they can help you with some of the manual and labor things that you need to do. But normally what happens is you get into that 80-90 phase and now you figure out that you just need help. So you just go out and hire somebody. You haven't thought about the training. You haven't talked about figuring out how you're going to deal with customer complaints, because they are going to come, right? Whether the customer wants you in the backyard or they're not happy with their service. You probably haven't done a great job at training them and getting them comfortable to do their job and all that. It's like you're building onto that chaos because you think that bringing on a person is going to make things a lot easier, but it's not. Now you've just added something new to your business, because it's not like you're like, okay, 130 pools, I'm not doing pools anymore. And that's not the stage that you're in. And then a lot of things start to suffer, right? The quality starts to suffer, a little bit of the customer communication starts to suffer and stuff like that. You know, we call this the scaling phase because this is where you really start to scale your business, right? You're bringing on employees, you're starting to look at that bigger vision.
And then the fourth stage is really what we call the enterprise stage. And this is where you're starting to get up to 200 plus pools. This is where you're really transitioning fully out of the field into running the business side of things. It requires systems to be put in place, whether that's invoicing, billing, estimating, job management, payroll, whatever it is. Like, you have to start having some of these sophisticated systems in there. Your team's larger. You're looking at developing more leaders, trying to get people more in tune with that. It's just like, this is the complex stage of where you're not doing cleaning and repairs, but you're managing a workforce at this point. This is where you're starting to learn, how do you delegate to others to accomplish these tasks? And that's a scary stage, because now you are becoming farther removed from that first stage where you were there with the customer, delivering that high quality. You're speaking to them as a professional. Now it's that, how do I get my team on the same page to go out and deliver that same quality, that same customer service to our customers? So,
and I've talked about this before. This is one of those stages where at this stage, you can't be doing like what you were talking about, the it anymore. And we all have an it. It doesn't matter if the it is building pools or if the it is renovating pools or if the it is cleaning pools. At this stage, when you're into this phase, this is a lot more about you driving the ship, and you can't be doing the it anymore. I think we have a hard time and we struggle with that, because when we build our babies, we're doing the work. We know how to do it. We feel comfortable that if I go out there, it's going to get done right. Right. And so we have a hard time letting go of that and giving that to somebody else, and the fear of, how are they going to do it? And every phase brings its challenges, and every phase is an opportunity for growth, right? You get into that 80 or 90 pools and you find yourself stressed out, and you're just going to bring somebody, and you bring somebody on and you throw them on. And a lot of the common things that we get, Zach, is people going, employees don't want to work. Like, people don't want to work anymore. A lot of the times it's not. A lot of the times is you hired the wrong person because you didn't know any better. You didn't have the tools. You didn't have a good idea or description of what the responsibilities of that person is. You didn't hire the right person. You now need to have a 30, 60, 90-day in plan for these people, for training, to motivate them, to keep them. A lot of what we do is we're so busy, we bring them on, we throw them out there, we train them for 3 weeks and go, right? And if you look at it in any job that you put anybody and you do that to them, they're just going to be like, man, there's no support here. There's no engagement. There's no nothing. We're out. Going over all these phases, really what we want to do is talk about some of the key takeaways for that phase that you're in. And then more importantly, what are the keys to success for that stage? What are the key things that you need to be doing during that phase to be successful? And then the things that you should be doing in preparation for that next phase, which, by the way, Go ahead, Zach. I'm going to say one more thing. Yeah, go ahead.
The awesome thing about this is like when I was going through it, there was nothing that I ever encountered to prepare me in this way. There was nothing saying, hey, in this period of time when you're here, like, here's what your focus should really be towards. Here's some of the things you should be working on and planning for. And then when you accomplish those, it's going to make it an easier transition to the next stage in your business, the next phase. And so it's exciting to me to be able to have something now that it's like, it may not be an exact science to everyone's specific situation, but it's going to be very close and be very helpful so that someone can say, okay, here's where I'm at. And here's the things I need to focus on and start getting in line to make it an easier time when getting to the next phase in my business.
Absolutely. 100%. Zach, I want to do two things. One, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and I said, oh, in the enterprise stage. And they threw it back to me and they said, I wouldn't call it the enterprise stage. I would call it the Empire stage. And I'm like, why would you call it the Empire stage? And they're like, because this is where you really start to build your empire. And I'm like, you know what? I like that. So I was like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to talk to Zach on the podcast and figure out if he agrees. And if he does, we're going to change it. I love it. The Empire.
We need to have that big vision, right?
The big one.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's officially changed. We changed it to the Empire stage. And we've talked to some people. David's on here, obviously talking to Cap City one of the times on the Instagram Live. He was saying, I don't quite agree with the number of pools at that stage, right?
Right.
And that's okay. That's a little bit different. It might be maybe not at 200 pools that you're building that Empire stage. It might be at 250, but the idea is to grab the concept of what that stage is going to be differently. And by the time that you get to those stages, what are the things that you should have in place to be able to be running your business efficiently? So an example, we talk about the Empire stage. You really should have somebody at this point doing your bookkeeping and getting all that invoicing and all that stuff off of your hands and having somebody do it. And you should just be managing it, right? Because it's very difficult to run an entire business and then go sit down for hours to do billing and send money and collect money and do all these different things. So it's really the idea.
Everyone will experience those a little bit different because, like, for example, I know in our market, like, we're not able to get as many pulls done in a day. Like, it's an unrealistic expectation that people are doing 15 to 20 stops in a day here, where I know in other markets where maybe it's more tightly routed, the pools are smaller, the environment is maybe not as many trees and things like that. I've heard of people doing 15 to 20 pulls a day. So it is going to be a little bit different, but like you said, it's the idea of like when you're bringing on that first employee and you find yourself in that situation where you're the one doing the majority of the pools and running the business and it's time to get help. But yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, Zach, let's do this. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go through some details on that first phase. We'll be right back.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. Sorry, I was talking over here doing the podcast. Leanne's not at the house, so you know what's happening, right? The dogs are going nuts today, of course. So David jumped in here and goes, Empire Stage. I like the sound of that. So that's where we're going. It's going to be the Empire Stage for sure. So we're definitely going there. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about that first stage for those pool pros that are out there really at that 40, 50 pool stage. And we talked a little bit about it earlier, Zach, where we talked that this is a stage where you really have a lot of time to be able to dedicate to each customer. You have a lot of time to be able to spend in each backyard, learning your craft, sharpening that saw. And so you really can pay a lot of attention to the details with your customers. And without knowing, what happens is this is where you really start to establish the quality of your service, right? Somebody that is spending the time, getting the water chemistry right, balancing the water properly, doing all those things. This is a phase where they unconsciously start to create that quality. But the challenge of this phase is that even though your workload is manageable, your income potential is limited because you really only have 40 or 50 pools. Some people are savvy enough to be able to do repairs and stuff like that, but not everybody at this stage is doing those repairs. So really, unless they increase the price of their service, they're really not going to be able to continue to push. And even then it's hard because you're maxed at that 40 or 50 pools.
Yeah. And then this one, there's several key things in this stage that we're going to go over. And one of them is at this point in your business, this is where it's important to build those strong relationships. Like you're out there, maybe you're learning, maybe you've done it previously and you've got some of the technical side down, but as a business owner now, when you're out there picking up these accounts, it's vital to build those strong relationships because a lot of these people, and in our case as well, these people will be on your route for many years. These are your first customers, and customer retention becomes challenging. It becomes more of a challenge as you grow and go through these phases. And so this is a time where, like Edgar was saying, you do have a little bit more time on your hands. And I'm not saying give away your time for free, but you are able to do a little bit better quality or a little bit extra for them. And when you build these relationships from the beginning, these personal, strong relationships, one thing that I've talked about this over and I try to preach to the team is that it creates a more loyal customer, like I was talking about. And then one thing is they're a lot more lenient. If you make an error, they're a lot more lenient and forgiving. One thing I loved when I was out there doing it is my customers would give me like raw, honest feedback. And I always appreciated it because even if it wasn't necessarily the feedback I wanted to hear and it was more of a criticism, okay, I'm growing a business. I can take that criticism now and I can implement something or change the way I do something to correct that and make a better service overall. They're more willing to do what you recommend. That is one thing. And I notice this a lot more having people in the field. If I have someone that maybe hasn't built strong relationships with their customers, when it's time to recommend a repair, or maybe there's something that would serve them better, putting borates, they're skeptical. But if it's coming from someone that has built a relationship, it's usually like, yeah, whatever you need to do, let's just get it done. I trust you and let's go ahead. So this is just building these relationships while you are out there and while you have the time to do so should be a huge priority.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because in one of the classes that we're going to teach at the Western, we talk a little bit about that customer service centric mind. And there's some stats that are actually really interesting. And you were just talking about it, but I have the stats because we're going to be talking about them. But loyal customers spend 67% more than new customers, right? The top 10% customers spend 3 times more per order than the average customer. That 10% of your customers that are happy, that are loyal, that you've been able to focus on that will spend 3 times more. And it's exactly what you're talking about. If there is a recommendation for borates, they're not going to doubt it. They're going to believe it, right?
Yeah.
The other thing is loyal customers are 4 times more likely to refer others to a brand. And word of mouth from loyal customers drives 5 times more sales than any other ads that you could do. And then businesses that provide excellent customer service experiences retain 89% of their customers. That's huge.
It's amazing.
Okay. And they'll continue doing business with you. 70% of customers say they stay loyal to brands that personalize communication. And this is why we talk about this, because in this phase, Zach, you do have a lot of that one-on-one communication with your customers. But as you scale, you lose the ability to have that FaceTime one-on-one, and you have to look for other ways to build that communication. The other interesting stat that I was looking at is 96% of people don't complain about something. And 91% of those will leave without saying anything. So those customers that are upset, that aren't happy, that you haven't delivered that great customer service, 91% of them just leave. The reason I want to talk about this is as you start to grow, customer retention becomes an issue. And if you don't master your customer retention at those other scaling and empire stages, you feel like you're stuck in that wheel that you can't scale your business, and you are going to have to put in certain customer retention programs in place that if you start focusing on that now and you carry it on through every phase, it's going to make your life a lot easier along the way.
And that stat, what was it? 91% leave without saying anything. And that has been, whenever we lose a client, we try to track the reason why. And very rarely do we get something that's negative. Most of the time it's, oh, budget or this or that. But I'm always skeptical because if the value there is there, then the price shouldn't be like an objection. And so that's a crazy stat to hear that confirms a lot of my suspicions on a majority of those people that are saying, oh, budget, we're going to do it ourselves. It's okay. Could we communicate better? Could we build a stronger relationship, a more personal relationship, and maybe avoid that? And that's what we've talked about. Getting that raw, honest feedback is so important.
It's tough. And people by nature, people are not confrontational. And I don't mean confrontational that you're going to go get into a fight. I mean that they don't want to have that difficult conversation for XYZ reason, right? The pool boys didn't do a good job. It's easier to just say, hey, it's not you, it's me. it's easier to say that and not have that difficult conversation of Zach, Joe, Bob, or Pete came in to do the work and they don't do this and they don't do XYZ. And if your pool pros haven't built that relationship for that to be there, then you're not going to get that feedback. So that was really tough, but some great stats.
But 9% of them will tell you why. So
what's that?
9% of them will tell
9%
you
of
why.
them will tell you why, right? This is another stage where you have the opportunity to focus on quality over quantity. And we talk about this all the time. If you are going to be a VIP service, a high end where you charge a high dollar, then this is a phase where you want to start to focus on that quality. And I don't mean just go out there and do a good job. Come up with a standard operating procedure of quality that you're going to deliver in each pool. Don't cut corners. Don't do things because you're running late. Don't do any of that. This is where you really start to focus on the quality of the service that you're going to deliver. Now, for every business model, there's a different core of customers. And I've talked about this before. It doesn't matter what business it is, it has different levels of customers. In hotels, you have people that will go stay at a Motel 6, right? They have their core people. That's what they're interested in. Then you have other people that will go and stay at a Hampton Inn or a Holiday Inn, right? It's almost a little bit step up. It's a little bit more expensive. You get more for your buck. Then you go into a Hilton or a Marriott or one of those hotels, and then you're paying even more. But for each phase that you go up, you're getting something different. Now, if you think about it, you're still getting the same thing. You're still getting a room. You're still getting a bed. You're still getting that same thing. But every one of them is going to offer a more polished customer service as you go up. And then you have the people that are interested only in Ritz-Carlton and Four Seasons and all that. So for the pool service, it's the same thing. You are going to have customers that just want you to come in and net and jet and leave, right? But they're not going to be willing to pay what the person at the Four Seasons pays. And so for you, you need to figure out what market you want to be in and figure that out at this stage. Because if it is really driven on that quality, that high-end VIP service, you're not going to be able to double the amount of pools that a pool pro could do because you have to deliver a certain quality for your product. But this is really the phase where you really start to build your reputation for your work. So really focus on that.
And it's like John talks about it all the time, like good, better, best, right?
Yep.
And there is a client for all levels of it. And that's great. And like Edgar's saying, figure out what level of service you want to deliver and focus on that. And I would even take it farther too. Like in my mind, part of quality, and I see this all the time, is really focusing on the entire backyard or pool and pool pad needs. And I don't know how many times I walk in a backyard, even with pools that we take care of, and I go back there and I look at the pad and I'm like, one thing wrong, two thing wrong, three things wrong, four thing wrong, five. And I'm just like, oh man, like pool's running, it's functioning, it's fine. But here's 5 things that we could be fixing, repairing, taking care of for the client. And in my mind, being able to get out there and say, hey, Edgar, I was here today and here's 3 things I found wrong and one potential thing that you should look at. That's quality. That adds to the quality service. So I think we need to be focusing on capitalizing on those things, especially when we have a little bit more time in this phase. It's learn how to identify those and present those. And then, like you said, like the reputation piece is so important because as you stated in the statistics, like referrals is going to be one of the most powerful things as you grow. And I think John was talking about how like majority of his business was referrals from other customers. And that's a low cost way to acquire customers.
And this is the stage where most of your business is going to come from referrals because you don't have a lot of money to spend other ways acquiring customers, right? As you grow into the other phases and you are in that Empire stage, you might need to be at a stage where you're trying to bring in customers. And it doesn't matter if it's through buying pools or ads online or pay-per-click or Yelp or whatever it is. As you grow that machine, you have to go look for other things. You can't just rely on the word of mouth. But this is a phase where that word of mouth is really going to bring you a lot of business.
Yeah. And another thing that at this stage is focusing on establishing processes. And I think that there's a misunderstanding that maybe I'll worry about those once I get to that point. But I would argue that this is one of the most important points to start doing that, because
this is the time to do it.
This is the time to do it. And time is money. The more you can get out of your time, the better you are, the stronger your growth is going to be. And start thinking about, what can I do to systemize things, and how can I operate with consistency and have a routine? When I'm delivering the service, like you said, don't cut corners. What are all of those things that you're doing? What are the steps that you're doing in each visit? The billing, we have talked about this time and time again. Like, that is like the nemesis for most people. What systems can you put in place to do that? And do it in a way that's repeatable and scalable. I think I talk to a lot of people, and it's like, these systems do cost. And a lot of times it's not very much, but at this point in your growth, like, it is a lot, but you got to look at, what is the ROI on that investment? You know, if something's $100 a month and it's going to give you back 10 hours a month that you can go out and do all these extra accounts or stops, like, it save you the headache of stressing and allow you to get your billing out more consistently and collect your money on a regular basis without chasing it down. That investment is probably well worth it. This is a point where you really want to start looking into these things.
100%. The other thing is, you really should start focusing on your branding, right? A little bit of the branding, a little bit of the marketing, kind of start to establish your brand, do a little bit of homework. We had Crystal on, which did a deep dive into all the different aspects, from colors to messages to all those things that you should be doing, because as you start to grow, that's going to be a lot more important as you start to get into those next phases and really build that brand identity that is going to separate you from the guy next to you, from the pool company next to you. There's a lot of competition in this industry, and you have to separate yourself from the competition. So really build that reputation, right? Start to focus, because you have time now to get reviews. You have the time to be able to go to those happy customers. This is when they're happy. Get out there, get reviews, get them to put them on your Google pages, on your Yelp pages, and really start to do a little bit of that local networking. And it doesn't matter if you go to an IPSA show or a hot show, or you go to the Western show, or you go to some of those. Start going to these events at this stage and start getting exposed to how big the industry is.
This is something that's going to be a key in every phase, but it's going to be different in every phase on how you go about it. And like you were saying, this is what is the bootstrap way that you've got to go about it, because there's not a lot of capital to invest in this. And I do encounter people that the mindset, and I'm guilty of this as well, the mindset at this point is, I've got to put all my money into marketing because I need more accounts. But at that phase, we don't really understand marketing. There is a science to it and things like that. And so it's, how do we focus? Don't put all your money into that, but how do you focus on the stuff that's low cost? Like you said, like, ask for a referral, go out and network, make a relationship with a realtor or someone that can feed you accounts. So you have to be very strategic. And then look at things like your uniform. Do you have a consistent image when you go in the backyard all the time? Do you have a consistent way that you communicate with the customers? Do you have professional invoice that you provide them, or is it something that's handwritten on paper and you're like, here it is? Those are just some of the things I think that people, and we say it all the time, low-hanging fruit, that get overlooked, that are very cost effective.
And the important part is, this is the phase where if you start to implement these things, you don't have to worry about it later. You don't have to look at it when you're scaling and you have 2 employees, and then at that stage have to work on it. If you've already put these things into play, as your employees come on, you're going to teach them already in the path that you're on. So it becomes a lot easier. It doesn't become, okay, I have 5 employees that normally come in their own clothes, and now I have to tell them that they're all going to be in uniform, and that they're required to have uniform, and that they have to be clean, and they have to be washed, and they can't be thrown in the back of the truck and put on the next day all wrinkled and full of silicone on the side, or tab bleached out and stuff like that. So this is really that time to be able to do that.
The next thing to talk about is you got to plan for growth. And I think at this point, planning for growth is a little bit different than what goes on, because most of the time we're in this phase and we're like, we just want to get big and I want to have 500 accounts or 1,000 accounts. And I'm just going to put the pedal to the metal. And that's the extent of it. How are you going to get to 500 accounts? And I think this is something that people have to put a lot of thought and have some sort of idea of what that is, like that roadmap on how they're going to get there. And I think the more defined it is, the better you can plan for it, the better the goals you can set. And it's evolving. I'm not saying set it in stone and that's all you could ever do. But as you grow, things change. You may add a service, remove a service, you may change your start time, whatever it is. But you need to have some sort of map that you are going to follow.
Yeah. David is saying over here, marketing is like gasoline. It's really powerful, but it's even more so if all the fires are already burning.
Yeah.
100%. If you have all this chaos going on and you're just trying to bring on accounts and you haven't figured it all out, man, that gas will just burn the building down a lot quicker. So the other thing that's really important at this stage is to really stay financially disciplined. And at this stage, Zach, in your case, that you now have 10, 14, 15 people. And so your financials look very different than they did when you had 40 pools. But this is really the stage to start setting up that financial discipline. And by that, what I mean is start to make sure that if your dream after the next phase is to bring somebody on, that you've done the mathematical equation to say, hey, in order for me to bring employees on, I have to charge, and I'm making up numbers, $250 a month. I'm only at $220. I need to bring everybody up to $250. Because what's going to happen is if you keep every account at $220, and then you get to that $80, $90, and you get into that where you're going to be at $130, and you can't financially afford to bring that person on, it's going to be chaotic. And let me tell you what happens to most people is they don't figure that out. They have over 100 pools, they're stressed out, and they just throw somebody in there. And then what happens is the business starts to struggle financially because there hasn't been that homework. So start to put your process in place with regards to billing, help that cash flow, which will be a lot more important into the next phases.
It's like hindsight, what is it? Hindsight's 2020.
2020, yeah.
As we talk about these things, I'm like, went through it, did it. And these are the things that I wish I had a better understanding of, or I'd been focusing on. And I think it would have made that a lot easier of a journey. But in the financial piece of it, like you said, like growth costs. And if you don't have a plan or an idea of what that growth is going to look like, you don't know really any idea of what it's going to cost. And then therefore, you don't have any way to establish what your rate should be or what your profit need should be. And if you don't understand what your cost of service is, I've gone through it. I've lost money in the beginning when I did my route in 2015 because of this. So that's why these all tie together. It's super important. And one thing is at this stage is, I've talked about it before, there's a saying, garbage in, garbage out. It's really important that you're disciplined on tracking the financials. And one thing that was never really told to me was that you need to separate personal expenses and business expenses. And so I went like for a while, like, oh, Taco Bell while I'm working and it's lunch. And then I go to the CPA with literally a shoebox full of receipts. And I'm like, here you go. And she's like, no, that's not how it works. And then you don't have a clear understanding because I had a bunch of garbage data in there that we weren't able to get a clear picture of what was going on and how am I supposed to build off that. So one of the things on this one, staying financially disciplined, is tracking consistently and accurately your business expenditures and those items.
Yeah, and people ask me all the time, what's the key thing that I need to do with financials? And it's really simple if you think about it, Zach. You can get all the financial data that you need. You can know exactly where you're at as long as you track your expenses and you track them properly. That's all you need. Man, you just need to know every month how much you spent in chemicals, how much you spent in gas, how much you spent in insurance. And it's so basic, but we push it to the side and we don't do it because we feel that we don't have the time. But that's what's going to be able to drive your business in the right path if you know those numbers. Zach, let's talk a little bit about the keys to success for those that are in that 40 to 50 range in that foundational stage. And these are the things that you should be doing that are going to help you set yourself up and leverage yourself for the next phase. A lot of that is, we've talked a little bit about this, but build that strong reputation. So as you get into that 80, 90 pools, you really do have a strong reputation. I was talking about it earlier. When you're in this 40 stage, you have the time to be able to have all these happy customers because you're spending all these times. These are the people that should be giving you all the reviews and doing all that, because as you move into the 80 to 90 and you're super busy and you can't get enough reviews or don't have the time to be able to do it, if you've already built that, you move into the next phase is continue to focus on building that strong reputation.
Yeah. And I think the way to look at this is these are the things now that we're covering that you get prepared, you start knocking out that are going to make it an easier transition to the next phase. Like you said, delivering that exceptional service, making sure the quality's there, checking off that box. Okay, we've got a quality service, building the strong reputation. Get all that while you can. Build that cache of 5-star reviews or 4 or 5-star reviews so that when someone's looking at you, they don't need to know whether you have 50 pools or 90 pools, but they know you've got 56 5-star reviews in the area. That is extremely helpful when you're growing. The next one I'll touch on is mastering your craft. And so again, this stage is where you have the time, learn the chemistry, put in the time, learn the repairs, whatever you can do, or go get licensed if needed, whatever licenses are needed in your, get the certifications, because you can do that. And when you get to that second phase, it does not leave a lot of time to take that time and put it into yourself.
Yeah, at that next phase, it's very difficult. And you start going, man, I can't take a day to go to the Western show to go take a class, or to the PSP Expo to go take a class. You're so busy in that balancing act that you won't have the time. So this is the time to really master that craft. The other thing at this stage is start doing some deep dives into reliable processes and start thinking of your business. If I brought on an employee, what process can I put in place that's going to make that a lot easier, right? And that could be simple stuff regarding your scheduling, route, invoicing, and do all those things, but put set procedures in place that you're going to follow all the time so that you know that you're going to get from A to Z every single time.
That's one that I wish I would have understood better. And so when you're out there, define the structure and then operate based on the structure. And when you go into that, getting that first employee, you will already have that in place and you will have a much easier time training them on following the process because it's already established. Super important that you focus on that and start thinking about that. And then again, like the marketing, the networking, going to be vital as you move up into the next stage. You're going to need a lot of that established.
As you continue to grow into the next phase, really make sure that you start to leverage the networking. This is the time where you have a lot of open time to be able to create a great network of people. And it doesn't matter if you need to learn how to do a lot more repairs. So whether you're going to an IPSA or an UPA group or you're part of the PHCA, whatever it is, start to reach out to some of these people and start to create that network with other professionals that are going to be able to help you grow. And it doesn't matter if it is to focus on business or to focus on repairs or to focus on customer service. Like there's a lot of groups out there where you can go and build those networks and meet those people so that when you do have the issues, you do have people that you can reach out to and say, here's my challenges. Have you faced these and how have you dealt with them? There's even us, like you guys can reach out to us and we get it all the time. People that reach out to us and it's like, hey, we're here at this stage with our business. Here's the problem that I have. And it's like, okay, we'll try this and this. And then you don't have to go through it by yourself trying to figure it all out.
There we go. It is bound to happen. For me, that has been one of the keys to our success. I laugh because bigger companies have a board of directors and they have all these people on their board. I technically have a board of my own, and that is my network of people with all different experiences that I lean into when I'm questioning decisions or thinking about the future. So it's super important. And then the next one is invest in yourself and your business. And again, I can't talk about it enough. This is the key time to get in that training. And don't just think in terms of technical and repairs. I know I've talked about that, but also think of like business trainings. Like, what kind of business courses can you get into to prepare you for some of this? Maybe the financial discipline is a hard part because you've never been exposed to that stuff before. Well, seek out that education, try to learn those things. There is a tremendous amount of resources these days that weren't available 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah. The next thing that you really need to focus on, because as you get into the 80-90, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, is really figure out how you're going to be able to develop and keep that strong client communication, because you're not going to have 40 pools anymore. You're going to be doing 90. You're busy every single day of the week. You're out there. Figure out what tools you're going to put in place in order to be able to maintain that communication, because as you continue to grow, the more difficult it gets to be able to keep that great communication.
And this ties directly into what we were saying about start identifying those systems, those technologies that are available. This is the point where you most likely have to bite the bullet and make the investment into some sort of software or communication tool so that things are now automated, so that you're not dropping the ball as your workload is getting busier and taking more of your time. These things are automatically happening behind the scenes. And then the last one, Ed, a very important one, is maintaining work-life balance. It's a lot easier in the 40 pool stage. And then as you get to that point, and it's like we were talking about in the beginning here, as we were doing the overview, once you start moving into the balancing act, it is a feat to be able to balance. It's like, do you focus more on your personal life, but then your business suffers a little bit? Or do you focus more on the business and then your personal life suffers a little bit? And so it's super important that you're keeping on top of that. And that right there leads us into the balancing act.
You know, you gave me a great idea with this board of directors.
I love it already.
I
love it.
Zach's like, and I'm just throwing stuff out loud. I'm just going to throw stuff to the wall.
I'm ready.
How do we get the people that are in this stage to be able to create their board of directors or their board of pool pros or their like board of directors, right? You know, who can be on your board that you can trust that's going to help you? And I think you should look, when you look at a board of directors, you should look at who's somebody that's, you know, a financial guru, who is somebody that is a processes pro, who is somebody that is great at talent and hiring and all these different things, and create your own little board of people, of businesses that you can reach out to and have in your corner in case you need help.
I just sent you a message because now you got me all fired up. So
let me see what that message is.
I love it.
I absolutely love the idea. So for everybody listening, well, everybody watching and listening, so Zach sends me a text while you're on there, and it's legit. I like it. And we're going to figure it out. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to incorporate it into our software.
Love it.
I'm all fired up now. So. All right. So everybody, one of the things that we need to do is really focus on these keys of success in order to be able to get to the next stage and be a lot more prepared. Zach, let's do this. Let's take our final word from our sponsors. When we come back, I want to get your final thoughts.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. Now available, Pool Invoice. Pool Invoice is a pool billing software created specifically for the pool service and repair industry. It's developed for our industry and only our industry. Pool Invoice is built with recurring billing in mind. You can print, email, text invoices, or even send via WhatsApp. You can add reoccurring or yearly charges, accept credits, and set up autopay. You can even see when customers have seen the invoice. It even has a customer portal where they can log in and see, print, and pay invoices. It has all your customers' information on one page, so you don't need to search through hundreds of invoices looking for the one you need. Just go to the customer profile and it's all at your fingertips. Created specifically for the pool industry, Pool Invoice. Now available at poolinvoice.com. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation live podcast. We're talking to Mr. Zacharias. We are talking about the phases of the Pool Pro. And Mr. Michael Krause is saying, hey, see you guys in a few days. Yes, sir. That'll be Thursday. We will be out at the Western Pool and Spa Show. So this podcast will be out on Monday. So you guys can catch us out there. Come out to the Western Pool and Spa Show in Long Beach, California at the Convention Center. We will be there the 6th through the 8th. We're going to be teaching some classes. Come out, hang out, chat. Let's talk about the phases. Let's talk about creating your board. I love it. Let me get your final thoughts, Zach.
This is the first time in my journey that I've been able to look at this in terms of stages and have that identified, especially in an industry specific way. And I'm super excited. And this is the stuff I love to go through and figure out. And I think that understanding the items that we talked about today at the different stages, like the common things that most business owners are going to encounter, it could really be used as a tool to get a head start on your growth. And again, it may not be 100% exact to your situation, but I'd be willing to bet it will be very close. And if you're going into the next stage or you're in the beginning stages looking forward, if you're focused on these things and you really put that time and effort into it, it will definitely ease the transition. Because I know that looking back at every stage we were in, I got into it And I was like, okay, I'm here. What do I need to be focusing on? What's next? I don't really have any foresight into what I should be expecting. And a lot of our growth has been fighting through the things that we encounter along the way. And a lot of these things we've figured out, got processes in place for, but it wasn't a forward thinking thing. It was more of a reaction to it. And so if we could be proactive in these things, it's just going to make it a lot more easier. It's going to make people a lot more profitable and in the know of what's going on with their business financially and what things they should be doing to prepare for the next step. So I'm really excited to get into this stuff. See you guys in a week.
Less than a week.
Yeah.
So when do you fly in?
I'm going to have
Wednesday?
to start driving tonight after we get done.
As soon as we hang up, I'm
Yeah, Long Beach.
Are you flying into Long Beach? Yeah.
I am.
You're going to fly the plane just to be safe so you're in control?
I don't know, man. Gonna probably get some Dramamine or something and try to put myself to sleep. But I fly in
They actually
Wednesday.
tell you not to do that because if there's an emergency, you're not coherent. Just to let you know.
Okay, so I'm driving.
So wait, when are you getting in?
Wednesday,
What time?
3 or something like that.
Oh, so you're early.
Yeah, we have a direct flight to and from, but it's only like you don't get a lot of options, I guess.
Yeah, mine was either in the morning and I get there really early in the morning, or I get the one where it puts me there at like, I don't know, like 7:55 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I think the first one was like at 8. So it puts you there like at 9 a.m. And I didn't think that you and John would be there that early. So I'm like, no.
So I'll be hanging out by myself for a while.
There you go. So anyways, everybody, I hope that you guys have a great weekend. Catch us next week at the Western Pool and Spa Show, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Looking forward to catching up with everybody out there. Zach, have a great weekend. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or PoolNationPodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at Pool.Nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to PoolInvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. PoolmanUniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at PoolmanUniversity.com.